Let's get more on this threatened tariff on copper, threatened by US President Donald Trump yesterday in an apparently offhand remark. Subsequently, the US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick seemed to suggest that August 1st could be the target date for putting on that levy. Let's get more from Dalton Baretto, Managing Director in Equity Research, Metals and Mining at Canaccord Genuity. Dalton, great to see you, and thanks very much indeed.
Thank you for having me.
I know it's a moving target. We don't know exactly what the White House is going to do or propose, but what are your thoughts off the top here? What will this do to the copper industry?
Well, it's like you just said, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. I've talked to a number of copper traders as well as copper producing companies over the last 12 hours or so, and nobody really seems to know what's happening at this point in time. But let's assume that the U.S. does put in this 50% tariff. I mean, these copper contracts have pass-through provisions, so obviously this is negative for any consumer of copper in the country. What this is also going to do is put in a sustained premium over the LME, which is the global benchmark price for any copper that's in the U.S. In the very short term, what it's going to do is it's going to close this arbitrage window that buyers as well as traders have been using to move copper into the U.S. ahead of the tariffs being announced. And so you're going to see another rebalancing of metal flows across the planet.
We're looking at the New York price for copper right now in record territory, or hit a record high yesterday. But of course, to some extent, an artificial situation in that driven by arbitrage. Looking at equities, in your note, you point to companies that actually have mines in the U.S. Now, could they be winners here?
Possibly. So at this point in time, there is no Canadian company that produces a meaningful amount of copper cathode in the U.S. Right now, it's mostly Freeport-McMoRan through its mines in Arizona that are the predominant source of copper cathode in the U.S. There's also ASARCO, which is a Grupo Mexico business that produces a meaningful amount of cathode, and then Rio Tinto's Kennecott business unit in Utah. But in the near term, in the next few years or so, there are companies that will bring copper into the U.S. market. The nearest term one of those is Taseko Mines, which has the Florence project in Arizona. They will be in production, producing copper cathode by year end. Then you've got Hudbay's Copper World project, which is going into its feasibility stage and could potentially be producing copper in the next few years, as well as Arizona Sonoran's Cactus project and Ivanhoe Electric's Santa Cruz project.
Right. I'm not sure if we have the chart for Taseko Mines, but that is interesting that you highlight them. How close is, and their symbol is TKO, how close is Taseko to actually getting into production at Florence?
They expect to have first cathodes by year end, so in the next 6 months.
And we're looking at the stock, a move up of about 5% yesterday. And Hudbay, Dalton, how far would they be from actual production?
They're a few years away, so they are going into the feasibility stage of project design at this point in time. So maybe we get a sanction decision next year and then about 3 years of construction before they're fully up and running.
Rio Tinto also produces the stuff in the U.S., but I guess they're so broad, they're not directly a copper play.
That is correct. It's a pretty small piece of their overall revenue mix.
Now, what could this mean for tech? They don't have significant copper output or any copper output in the U.S.?
They do not today. They have a JV with Glencore up in Minnesota called New Range. It's a 50-50 JV, and that's a copper nickel deposit, but that's years away from production at this point in time.
I mean, it seems given that America imports 40% or more of its copper. It seems a given that U.S. industry will be howling with protest if the cost goes up this much.
That is correct, except when you look at end users, copper is typically not a major portion of the cost mix, right? And so the net impact to overall cost shouldn't be overly material. And then there's also, pass-through options, right? At the end of the day, it'll get passed on to the end consumer, or whatever it is you're using the copper for. So it is inflationary on the broad scheme of things. There is no near-term fix to this. It's not like you can flip a switch and get more copper cathode in the U.S. tomorrow. There are some sort of medium-term solutions. The U.S. exports about 1 million tons of copper scrap. If that could conceivably be processed in the country, that would go a long way towards sort of solving this issue. And then there's, the opportunity to build some smelters and process some of the, 250, 300,000 tons of concentrate that they're exporting right now to produce cathode in the country.
So, I mean, Canada, not a huge copper producer in global terms. I think we've got about 2% or so of world output. But it looks like Canada is a pretty big supplier to the States, about 20% of American copper imports.
Yeah, the 20% sounds like a huge number, but it's not in the grand scheme of things. It's about 120,000 tons a year. And most of that is from Glencore's Horn smelter in Quebec.